So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, we'll go to the basics of C#.NET. Okay, so as an overview, we'll see what is C#.NET. So C# is nothing but a modern, general-purpose, object-oriented programming languages developed by Microsoft. So C#.NET is running on the top of .NET platform, or we call it a .NET framework. So Microsoft has come up with the programming framework known as .NET. Right, on the top of that, multiple languages can be run. So C# is just one of that language. Same way we got ASP.NET for web development. Then we got VB.NET, that is again used for coding. Then we have some languages such as F# and all that. Okay, so that is the different languages we have. So today we are talking about only C#.NET that will run on the top of .NET framework. So this common language in the infrastructure, which consists of executable code and runtime environment. So what will happen is in .NET framework, we have one common language in the infrastructure. So that will take care of the execution of your code. So once you compile your code, what will happen is it will convert that code into an intermediary language known as IL, intermediary language. So even if you have a code in C#.NET or even if you have code in VB.NET, it will convert all that code into that common language, intermediary language. So when you run it, what will happen is that intermediary language will convert into the machine code. Like that, the system will run it. Okay. So now some of the features of C#. So it is a general purpose programming language. It means it can be used to create class libraries. It can be used to create web applications, or it can also be used to create Windows-based application. Okay. So even when you're developing plugins, what we are basically doing is we are going for developing class libraries. So that's why it's known as general purpose programming language, and it is object oriented. That means it is an object oriented programming language. So everything in a object oriented programming language will be based on object. For that means is, for example, let's take the example of CRM. In CRM we have different entities such as accounts, contacts, cases, etc. So each of these are classes. That is nothing but a blueprint. It has a form, it has fields, etc. Right? So that's an object. Account is account is a class. And then when you create an account record such as ABB Inc. or ABB Limited, something like that, that we are creating an object out of it. So everything is a object. When you have blueprint, from that we will create a object. That is known as object oriented. Everything will be an object oriented. So if you look at CRM again, you have classes of all these entities, then you take object out of it. So if you look at organization, the CRM entire organization you create, that is an object, right? That you have a structure, then you create an object out of it. You can create multiple organization out of it. Then you have reports, that's an object. Then you have dashboards, it has a structure, a class, from that you will create. So each and everything has a schema or a blueprint. From that one you will create object. So C# also the same one. And by the way, Dynamics CRM is built on the top of .NET platform in C#. So it will be definitely an object-oriented language. And it is very easy to learn. It is a structured language. It has very proper structure when compared to other languages. And it is very efficient. And also, like I mentioned, it is part of your .NET framework. So I'm not going very detail about the .NET background. So now we need to talk about a little bit about .NET framework components. Okay, so .NET is a very big infrastructure. So what will allow is it contains a lot of enormous library of codes used by the client language. So we talk about only one language now. So in order to make the code running, it holds many components. First one is common language runtime. This is actually responsible for running the code. Just like in a computer we have CPU, the .NET framework we have a runtime environment. So I will show you that one. So this shows the structure of your .NET framework. It's not very clear, I believe. So you can see here the common language runtime is at the very bottom of it, this picture.
Yeah.
Right. So below that it will be your operating system. Right. So once you install .NET framework, or even if you install Visual Studio, that is the editor we use, right? So it will install your .NET framework. So in the .NET framework, this is a common language runtime. So this will execute your code, right? So on the top of that, we have multiple things. We are not going to everything. We have link. This is basically to access the data, to write queries. Then we have different languages such as C Sharp, J Sharp, VB.NET, etc. Then we have dynamic language runtime. Again, this is one library. So then we have base class library. So this is the core part. So CRM contains a lot of libraries. That means you don't need to write code for everything. You just need to use that library and write the code. So then we have the user interface part, that is ASP.NET. Then we have Windows Presentation Foundation. There is an application structure known as WPF, right? So then we have Windows Forms. So these are the user interface, the different types of application you can create. Then you have services such as data services, Windows Communication Foundation, Windows Workflow Foundation. For example, if you are developing a workflow, we talk about workflow in CRM. Same way you can develop workflow outside CRM also in Visual Studio. So that point in time you will use this component, Windows Workflow Foundation. Then if you're writing programs not to link with other site, for example, I'm developing a web application in ASP.NET, linking with CRM, then we'll use Windows Communication Foundation, WCF. And then for accessing the database, for example, again in CRM we have a database, right? So if you are developing an application in .NET, you need to use this component in order to interact with the database. In CRM system, I'm already doing that one, but if you are developing an application yourself, you need to do. So ADA.NET, this is one component that will allow you to access your database. Then entity framework. So entity, now if I talk about entity, you understand it, because in CRM we have entities. Same way, each and every class in CRM system will be linked together to become an entity framework. Okay, the link is a type of writing queries. So using that one, you can write queries and access data. So these are the different components we have. So like common language runtime, common language specification, common type system. So this is basically check your types. So when we talk about different types, suppose int, character, float type, all these are different types, right? Even in CRM, when you create a field, you have different types. So this is a type system in .NET. We will check what is the type of each field and what is the values. Then metadata and assembly. So we are not going to all this in depth because we have many components. So now different types of application we can create. Windows Forms is the one application we can create. Then ASP.NET, that is for web application. ASP.NET Ajax. So if you want to use, ASP.NET with Ajax, that is like to write more code at the client side, we use Ajax. But for now, you just need to understand that these are the components of a .NET framework, right? These are all required for an application to run. Each of these has its own functionality. So let's talk about Visual Studio. So Visual Studio for as per Microsoft terms is known as Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, right? So using which one you can develop different types of application. One is okay, so the IDE contains different versions. First one is Visual Studio 2010. It is talking about 2010. Now we have 2014. Okay, so I'll be using 2012. So these are the different versions of IDE they provide, right? So one would be Visual Studio 2010, then would be Visual C Sharp 2010 Express. So this is a free version. You don't need to buy it because you will get it for free for development as well as for educational purposes. Then Visual Studio Web Developer. If you want to develop web application, then you will use it. So I will just show you Visual Studio. So I'm using Visual Studio 2012. So now let's have a look at the C Sharp program structure. So when you develop a program in C Sharp, what all the commands we will have on it. So that all you need to understand. Okay, so basically a program will contain each of these components. First one will have a namespace declaration. Okay, then we'll have a class, right? That is a very basic thing. Then class will have class methods, class attributes, a main method, statements and expression, and comments. This is all simple. So I will show you one hello world program. That one first we're going to show. So this is the namespace part. Okay, so now I talk about C Sharp has a lot of libraries, right? We got a lot of libraries. Yeah. So how when we'll use these libraries? So basically we have a concept called namespaces. So now I'm creating one namespace, right? Namespace console application 1. This is a namespace. Instead of that, I'm writing the entire code. Forget about what all inside it. So what system will basically do is it will create a here we call it a concept of namespace. If you do it in Java, it's called package. So it will package everything into one DLL kind of thing. So now console.1, once you have developed like this and compile it, you will have a DLL known as console.application. That console.application in another program, I can read it like this using, I can call it like this. Once I have it compiled it, I will get a DLL file. DLL file means it will be compiled file, right? So now after that I can read it like this. Using means I'm using this package. So what all contain inside this namespace, such as the class and its elements, everything will be available in this one. So now console application dot program means it is referring to this class. Program dot value one dot means it is referring to the value defined inside of it. We will see all this one because we will be going more about practical. So that's about a namespace. Okay, so that using that name we can call we can refer each and every comment within the namespace.
Okay.
Okay, then we will have a class. So class is nothing but equivalent to our entity. This is nothing but a blueprint. So here by writing the code you will make a blueprint of one element. Okay, after that what we'll do is now you make class program, right? Now we can make object out of it, just like you make records in CRM of account. Here program, once you make it like this and make it compile, then in what you can do is we will see the code. You can create an object out of it. Program object is equal to new program, so that a new record of program will be created with all, whatever is mentioned inside the class. And about main method. So if you want to run a program, a main method is mandatory because the system will start execute it from the main method. So what all will write inside it, it will execute. So a class can contain two things basically. Okay, attributes and methods. So we will go through all that one. Just now I'm just want to show you this program and the command. A class will basically contain two things. One is attributes, such as you make some variables, right? Int a is equal to 10. So this is known as an attribute. And this is known as a method. Then you can have method, for example, show. So if you whatever you write inside that one, right, that will be a method. So basically variables are to hold the values, okay, and methods are you to do some operation. So a class can contain two things, attributes as well as methods. Now inside this one, what we have done, inside this class we have one method. There is no attributes. One method we have mentioned. Okay, that is a main method. So each and every program in C# you write should have one main method, because that is the method which will execute first, and that method will call other methods. Like that the program execution happen. So now when we run this one, it will come to class, it will come to the main function, then it will run execute whatever written here. So here what we are doing is system will have some basic methods, right? So console is a class in CRM system. Okay, it's a system class. Okay, it has a method known as write line. So you are writing one line. Okay, so and console.read means it is reading a value. It is writing a line, whatever is written in between here. So it will write like hello world. After that console.read read key, that means it will read a value from the console. Console means what? There's a command prompt. Okay, so what I'll show you is we will run this one. I will open Visual Studio and go to new project. Okay, so this is the editor you use, Visual Studio, and this is the first program we are writing. So I will explain these components one by one again. Okay, so now I just created one application, file, new, project. Okay, so here we have different types of application. So if you are writing a console application, that means an application run in the console, right? Command prompt, that will have project type. And if you are writing one ASP.NET program or ASP.NET project, that means a website, right? ASP.NET means website. Project means if you are writing one console application or a Windows form application. Windows form application means if you are opening for example Mozilla Firefox, that is a Windows form application, right? Or in a different way I can say what I have, the TeamViewer. So this is a kind of a Windows application. This is a Windows application run on locally, right? For that one you need to create a project. For website you need to use ASP.NET. Okay, that's a different project type you have. So I just created a project, so it is giving some standard code here. So this is the code I got. Now I'll explain you what all these things. Okay, so these are all packages. So the CRM framework comes with a lot of packages, right? System. So the system is a namespace like this one written by Microsoft. So the system namespace contains a lot of classes. So here within this namespace, hello world, you have one class, right? Like that, I can create many classes inside this. I'm giving the name as program 1, program 2, program 3, and each of this this shouldn't be main. I'm going to give some name. Okay. Okay, so this is one namespace, hello world 2. Inside that I got 3 classes. Each of the class contains some methods and values. Right? Oh, we are making some blueprint, program 1, 2, 3. Now why using this name, once I compile it, so this is how you will compile it and build it. Once you build it, I will get some DLL files. That is nothing but a library. We call it as assembly or library. So now this system is nothing but a library or a namespace. So if you go to .NET Framework installed and go to the location, you will get a DLL known as system.dll. That is a DLL. Inside that there are codes in the compiled format. So that system.namespace would have written like this by Microsoft, which contains a lot of classes, and each of that classes contains variables, attributes, methods. So it is doing a lot of operations. So you don't need to do this operation. So system basically contains classes and method which you need to use in order to do the basic operation with the operating system. That's why it's known as system. So now system is one namespace. One namespace can contain another namespace. For example, this namespace, inside this I can create another namespace. Hello world 3. Inside that I can create classes. Like this, right? So this namespace, this one is inside this one. So this collection is a namespace which is coming inside system, and this collection contains a class known as generic. Now system again contains a namespace known as link. So link is containing all the classes which is needed in order to read, in order to write queries. Link is a type of queries. Write queries to access database data. Then system.data, this contains this namespace. System.text contains all the classes needed to read or write data or text basically. Then this is for threading. If you are using multi-threading in your programming, you are using this one. So these are the system libraries. So you, in order to write a basic CRM program, you need all these libraries. So this contains a lot of classes, and that classes contain method that will help you to do your operation. Now you understand what namespace, right? Basically libraries, right? So now I am creating one more library here. So once I make this library, I can also use this one. In another program, I can use this name using hello world world 2 comma means what all I have mentioned, that all I can use as a library. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just create a new project, and inside that I have copy pasted my program. So what is basically do, it has a namespace, it has a class, and inside that class we have one main method, and inside that I am writing 2 lines. So now if you place the mouse over here, you will get to know class system dot console. Yeah, so this is to read a key and this is to write a key. So I will tell you. So now if you place the mouse over here, you'll get an idea. Class system dot console. So basically system is a namespace, I told you, right? A library. Inside that there is a class known as console. And inside that class named console, there is a method called writeLine. So I'm using the existing library of system console class and a method known as writeLine. So whatever I write inside that, system will print that to the console. So why I'm using this read keys, it will try to read a element from the command prompt, so that I will get some waiting. It will wait to read some value. Okay, so that we'll get some time. So now we will execute it. How we'll do it? First I'll go to build, click on build solution. So it will show you whether it's building or not. So it will show build. Okay, so other way we can do is you can just click on start. So that will build and execute. Okay, so and here on the right hand side it is showing you the solution. So once you create a project, it will give you some element created. Okay, so it is created one solution with the same name of your namespace. So this will be different because I have changes this one. So I will change it to world 2. So a solution will be created with the same name of your namespace. Inside that solution you have one what you call program file, we call it. So one solution can contain multiple program. So this is the program we written. So all the program will be contained in a solution. So solution is a container where we can have multiple programs. So this is one project or program, right? So that comes from here, and each project or program contains multiple elements. First one is properties. That is, this is, if you go to this file, you can see a lot of elements. So this assemblyinfo.cs, this contains a lot of information about what you are writing. This is basically for system purpose, right? System is calling a lot of libraries and using it. And then you got references. References basically what all the DLL you use or library you use. So Microsoft.C# system, system.core, system.data, system.data extension. So these are basically the library you use. So these are DLLs. That DLL you need to add to your program. We will see how to add that. And app.config, that is a file will be created. It will talk about the configuration of your this application you have write. So this is an XML file. So you don't need to worry about that now, the configuration file. And this is the file where you have written your code. Program.cs will be a file, right? So inside that you have written. So now you build it. Yeah. So it will build and there will be a DLL file created. So what you need to do is you need to click on this program file, a project file, go to open folder in File Explorer. That will open up the folder. So in my PC, Visual Studio is installed in this location, documents, Visual Studio 2012 project Hello World 2, Hello World 2. So this is the project name, project folder created. So once I create my project, this many folders and files got created. So this is a basic structure, bin. So inside this bin folder you can see there is an exe file created because this is a console application, right? So system will create a exe file. By just double click on it, I can run the application just now I created. And this is a configuration file, an XML configuration file, and this is a PDB file. This will contain the debugging related information. Then these are all project related components. So you don't need to worry about all this. So only thing that we are interested about here is hello world.exe. So now this is the application you develop. Now you double click on it. This is the application created. It is writing hello world, right? Now if I press any key in my keyboard, application will stop. The reason is the system will keep, once the system will write some line, right, it won't wait for the system to do anything. It will simply write the line and go off, right? So in order for that window to be display your message, we have added one console.read key. That will system will wait us to enter some value, right? So that we can see what is the output of your application. Okay, so this is the very what do you call, very beginning application you write. So now when you are creating more and more application, we will follow the same structure. The namespace, the class, and inside class we'll add more components, right? That's only difference. Rest everything will remains the same. So now we talk about main method. From the execution start, we talk about class attributes, class methods, class namespace. Then you have statements and expression and comments. So what all you write in CRM system, just like this with a semicolon, known as statements, right? So these are all two statements written here. Now statement means that CRM or .NET framework can execute. So if you want to write something which your .NET framework shouldn't execute, that is known as comment. For example, if I need to give some introduction about this class, so what I can do, I can put some backslash and write this class, sorry, this class is the main of the application. So the CRM system won't execute anything because this is a comment. Once I put a two backslash, it will bypass this statement. It won't execute. But since I am putting like this, right, this all lines will be executed by the .NET framework. So this is one way of putting comment. Other way is hash star star hash, and whatever you write inside this one, right, this is a comment. What all you mention it, this is for just for reference. You're telling others what is the instruction you need to follow. System won't execute this one. This is the other way of writing it. Okay, so this is a comment. These are statements. Statements will be executed by .NET framework. Comments won't be executed by .NET framework. So you understand the basic structure of a program now, right? Okay, so now let's talk about CRM C# data types. Okay, so we make the application. After that, we may need to enter some values into C#. Okay, and but anyway, this is equivalent to CRM also. In CRM we have fields, right? On the form we have fields. So that fields have a type, data type, right? Same comes here. So here also the values will have data types. So basically, I mentioned in a class we can have attributes also. For example, I am making a field such as int age, string name, then float value. Yeah, float something. Interest rate, right? So these are the different. So these are the different data types. Integer means I am indicating a integer. That means there won't be any decimal point. String means it will be an characters such as a name or anything. So I can also mention like this char a. That means it will be a value. So now I will assign some value also on this one. So age is equal to 25. String name is equal to, I can mention a name like this morally. I can mention a character to it. For example, a is a character. Then float interest rate is equal to 12.45. So these are the types of values. So this is a variable, and we are assigning a value to it. This is a name, we are assigning a value to it. So these are the items you can have. Okay, so like that we have different type. We have few more types are there. So these are the very basic type. So basically the types itself, we have different types. There are three categories of types. One is value types, second is reference types, and third one is pointer types. So this is just for your reference. We are not going to detail in that. So value types. So value type variables can be assigned a value directly. They are derived from system.value type. So this is a namespace, a library that contains a class known as system.value type. So the value types directly contain data. Some examples like integer, character, float, which store numbers, alphabet, floating point number, etc.
Okay.
Right? So when you declare an integer type, the system allocate memory to store that value. So integer has a size. So each and every of this type, right, it has a size. Integer is of 4 byte. Sorry, 4 bits. Okay. So if you store this integer value, it will be stored in 4 bit. If I'm telling character, it will be stored in 1 bit. If I'm saying float, it will be stored in 4 bits. Like that, we have different sizes. So that many bits in the memory, CRM will allocate for each of these values. Each of these have different sizes. And string will be depends upon the number of characters. Here I have got 6 characters, right? So 6 into 1. So 6 bit will be reserved for strings. Like that, that's the reason. So it will tell the CRM runtime environment, okay, this is the type of this particular variable. So the system will allocate that many memory cells for use. Okay, that's the purpose of having. So basically we'll use value type. In addition to that, we have reference type also. Reference type, you will get better idea when we talk about classes, right? Class and object. So now we have a class like this here, right? Class program. So later in the program, what we can do is we can create class. You made a class name known as program. It will throw error here, I'm sure. So I'm set up a variable like this, new program. So what will happen is here I have a class created. Now what the system will do is, just like writing int program prog, I am writing program prog. That means system will create an object or create a record of program type. Like if I write like this, it will throw error here because I need to have one more method here to write that like this. Okay, so if I write like this, what I'm basically creating is I'm creating a variable of type program. So that is known as reference type. So I'm creating the here program or PROG is a variable of reference type program. So this is referring to this class. Okay, so when you go to classes and object, we'll get a better idea. And pointer type. So pointer type we hardly use. So this was very commonly used in CPP, C and CPP.
Yeah.
In C# we hardly use it. So what basically pointer type do? Pointer type variable store the memory address of another type. To explain that one. So the memory contains bits or cells. Each cell known as 1 bit. So there it can store some information. So in order to store one value of integer, like if I mention integer A25, system will take some bits, 4 bits, to store it, right? For float it will take more than that. Like that it will take more spaces. Now what will happen is, and each of that cell will get some address. So what this basically pointers are used, the pointers are a variable which will store the address of other variable. So for example, here I am giving an address, character CPR. So I am making a variable of type pointer. So we'll use the symbol, this asterisk we'll use, char star CPTR. So what will happen is, it now I can assign to the CPTR, I can assign the address of some variable in ABC or age. So it won't store the value here. The CPTR won't save the value in the cell. Rather than that, it will store the address of the age variable. Okay, so that is known as pointer type. So you just need to understand that pointers are used to store the address of a variable in .NET. So we are not going to use it anywhere in your CRM requirement. Okay, now let's talk about variables. Okay, so variable is, as the name indicate, when we are writing a program, what will happen is sometimes you need to keep some value somewhere and you need to use that one. So for that purpose we will write like this, int a is equal to 25. So here a is known as a variable. So now after some point in time, if I assign a is equal to 50, the value in this variable will become change. right? Now in the memory, wherever the space for A allocated, instead of 25, it will contain the value 50 now. That means the value
Okay.
changes. That's why it is known as variable. So all I have written here in this program now, all these are variables.
Okay.
So age is a variable, name is a variable, X is a variable, interest rate is a variable of different types. Age is a variable of type int, so that it can hold an integer value. Name is a type of string, it can hold a string value, and this one X is a variable of type char, it can hold a single character value. Like that, interest rate is a variable of float type, can hold a floating number.
Okay.
So like that mentioned, each variable in C# has a specific type which determines the size and layout of the variable's memory, the range of values that can be stored within that memory cell. So these are the basic value types available in CRM. So we have integer type. These are I mean, they keep on changing this one. Okay, so what this means is short byte. So byte means 8-bit, right? Then here you have short byte, that means less than 1 byte, that is 4-bit. Then you got short, that's of 2 bytes. Then you have u short, I'm not too sure about this one. Integer is 4 bytes. Yeah, this is unassigned int, that means what will happen is, normally whenever the value stored in memory, the first bit of that one will be used to store a symbol plus or minus, right? Plus or minus. So here in our code I can mention here is like 25, oops, minus 25. So what your system will do is, it will convert this 25 into zeros and ones, like this.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, so imagine this is the integer value for 25. So this first bit, right, this will be used to store the symbol, this one. So if it is negative, it will be 1, it is positive, it will be 0, like this, right? So it means it is unassigned, it won't specify what is the type of it is negative or positive, you won't mention. That is about uint. Then long means 4 bytes, for I think it is 8 bytes, sorry, 8 bytes. Then it is unassigned long. Then we have character. Then floating point types, float and double. Float is of 4 bytes and double is of 8 bytes. Then decimal types, decimal is again is of 4 bytes. Then boolean types, that is true or false, that can contain a value of true or false. And then nullable data types, that means values such as uh, like this, null is a value, then undefined. So this all showing that there is no value assigned. So sometimes we will check like this, if a is equal to undefined, that means is there any values there in a or not. So these are basically, this is used to indicate whether the value available in these fields or not. So don't worry, so I will give you the material for all this, very detailed material. So once you go through it, you will get a detailed idea.
Okay.
So once you declare one variable, that means declaring a variable means, this is known as declaring a variable. Okay.
Yeah.
And after that, if you are mentioning like this is known as, oops, this is known as defining that variable. Here you declare it, here you define it. So this is a syntax for defining it, the data type and the variable list. Okay. So here you have defined it. So at the time of definition itself, you can assign some value. Instead of doing it in 2 steps, you can do the definition as well as the assigning value at the same time itself. So you are defining it like this, then you are assigning the value using the equal symbol. Yeah.
Okay.
What we call it as initialization. Assigning values known as initialization. That means even after you define it, you are assigning some value for the first time. So that is, we are not making it null. So it is not null. Once I am assigning a value to it, age, variable age is not null. It has some value. That process is known as initialization. So here you can see, if you can see it, we are adding some values to it, right? So this is of integer type, this is of byte type, and then this is of double,
Okay.
this is of char. So difference of on the type. Then we have constants. Constants, we know what constants are used to. If you want to store some constant values during a program execution, which is known as constant. For example, pi. We have a value, we know the value of pi, right? 3.14, etc. So that value, if you want to store somewhere, and that is just the opposite of variable. Variables can be changed anytime, but constants are means once you assign a value to it, you cannot change the value to it, value of that one. So constant refers to fixed values that the program may not alter during the execution. Constants can be of any basic data type like an integer or a floating point, character, constant, etc. So only thing that now you have mentioned int a is equal to 10. This is a variable. If I mention const in front of that, this will become a constant like this. So now it is a integer constant. This is a string constant.
Yeah.
Then we have operators. Now you just mentioned variables, so you need to do some operation now. So relational operators used to use like equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than, like that. Logical operators means this we have in CRM also. And if you want to add two statements together, we'll use add. Especially we'll use it in checking condition, like if age is equal to 25 and gender is equal to male. This means or.
Yeah.
This is means not. Okay. When we'll talk about decision making, that means if state, so when it need to do some decision making in C#, we will use some statements such as if else, switch, etc. Okay. So this will also be familiar with. So I'll show an example here. So here we have a if loop. It is checking. Here we are assigning a value int is equal to 100. Then we are checking whether the value is less than 20. If yes, it is writing something to the console. A is less than 20. Or here it is checking. Else it is writing A is not less than 20. So this is nothing but a if else loop. So for decision making we are writing like this. If this condition, we are mentioning a condition, if it satisfies, we'll do something, else we'll do something else. So we can even elaborate this one. We can have if else conditions. We can mention if less than 20, greater than 20, and A less than 50. So like that I can extend it to any level. If this condition, else if this condition, else, like this I can extend it to any level. So that is about decision making. We'll use if statement and if else statement and switch statement. Then we have loops. So loops are used to use in situation where we need to execute something multiple times, right? So basically we have two types of loops, or basically three types of loops: while loop and for loops. Okay, so while loop repeat a statement or a group of statements while a condition is given it true. For loop will execute a sequence of statement multiple times and it will check the condition. So we'll show you both of that example. So this is the syntax of while loop. While a condition, as far as the condition is met, it will keep executing, right? That's about while loop. And this while loop can also be nested. That means here I have a while loop mentioned, then it is executing some statements, again it is having another while loop. So it will execute this while loop. If the condition is true, it will come inside, execute the statement, then it will check this while loop. The condition is true, it will check this. So if you remember, in CRM we have wait condition, right? As long as the condition is true, it will keep waiting. So same thing it will do here. So if this condition is not true, it will keep waiting till the condition is true. Once the condition is true, it will come inside and it will execute, and whatever inside this one, the condition is true, it will keep executing this one as long as the condition is true. For example, I can mention a condition like this: while a is less than or equal to 100, and if I write like this, what it will do is, as long as the variable value is less than or equal to 100, whatever two lines I have written inside, it will keep execute the same thing again and again and again. Okay, so then the same thing can be do from do while loop also. There is one more loop, just not do while. So what a do while loop is do is, do while so the difference between a while loop and do while loop is, in while loop, the first time itself it will check whether the condition is true or false, right? If it is true, then only it will go inside. But in a do while loop, what it will do is, it will execute the do section once, then it will check the condition. So if I am running this like so, I do while loop will always execute once, at least once. Then it will check the condition. If it is less than or equal to 20, it will keep on going. Yeah. So then I do like this. Now I need to make a small change. Here I am running a is equal to 20, value of 10, is equal to 20. He's seeking 1, 10. Okay. It's going infinite. Okay. 20. This loop is going infinite. Okay, I got it. Because we haven't added the a plus plus here. And also we need to write console. Okay. Read. Yeah, so the same example what we have, we are converting to a while loop. So everything is the same, except we are adding a do section that will execute at least once, then we'll execute the while loop. Okay, so that's the difference. This time it will run for, yeah, so 10 to 15, 19 it will run. So this is about do while loop that will execute at least once. Okay, and then we have one more type of loop that is known as switch. Okay, so what a switch will do is, I will tell you. So if we got a lot of decision making, what I mean by that is, I'll add one new class, new item class. I'll add it as a switch. Yeah, so everything is the same. So this is known as a switch. So what a switch will do is, instead of writing here, basically we are checking the grade of a student. I have given the grade already here. So then checking the switch statement. So if the grade is A, I am writing as excellent. The grade is B or C, I am writing as well done. If the grade is D, I am writing as you passed. Then F, and this is the default value. So instead of writing if cases grade is equal to A, then writing something inside that. If grade is B or grade is C, then I am doing something. Instead of that, what I will write is case A, right? And I will write whatever the operation is supposed to do. Whenever this operation is done, then I will break it. So it will come to the next line. So this line is equivalent to, here I will write it. So this line is equivalent to writing if case is equal to A, then writing something. Oh, okay. So this is what this equivalent to. Case equal to A, then I am writing something. Else if case equal to B or case equal to C, then I am writing something. So like that I can make a lot of if else conditions. Instead of writing all like this, we have a better option that is known as switch. So you just write like this, switch, whatever inside coming that, and whatever the value you want to check, mention that here. Then you write cases, case A, case B, whichever the value that you're supposed to. So if grade is given in some integer value, for example 122, so here everything will change. It will change, like if it is 100, then this is the grade. If it is 120, it is the grade, something like that. So it can be of any type. So here grade is in some character. Yeah. So now if I run this one, what I'll get is B, right? So it will write as well done. Now what went wrong? Okay. I will make a new program for this. Switch. Why that error comes, So I have added the second program also within the same solution, and it got two main methods. So two main methods are not allowed. That's why that error came. So what I did is I created another solution. Inside that I have added the new class and program. I have one more way to do it. The same solution itself, I have one more way to do it. I just want to remove this main method. Instead of that, I need to give some other name, and this method I need to call from the other method. So like that I can do. So at this point it will be a little confusing. So here is saying well done, your grade is B. So if I am mentioning the grade is equal to D, so it will run, you are passed, your grade is D. Yeah, so that's about. So instead of here you are reading the grade, you are hard coding the grade here, right? Instead of that, you can read it from the console. What I can do is I can grade is equal to console is used to read the line, just like in CPP you are use hashing load std I mean I.h, right? Then we'll use what is studio in studio out we use. Same way here we use read line means we'll read from the command prompt, convert that into string. So this will now grade will have the value whatever is you read from the console on the command prompt. So I need to just convert that into a character. I'll use parse. The parse method is used to convert whatever you read. Yeah. So now this is the character which you read from the command prompt, and you convert that into a character, then that will contain character instead of hard coding it. So I need to enter the grade here. Now I am entering C. Well done, your grade is C. Now next time if I am giving A, your grade is excellent. So like that you read it from the command prompt. Maybe you can give one more thing here. You can give a message console.write line. You can say enter your grade. Yeah. So next time when you execute, you'll say enter your grade. I'm going to mention E. Invalid grade. Your grade is E. So like that you're using it. Okay. So is that clear? So that's about the different loops we have. Do while loop, do while loop, and switch loop. Next one is nested loops. So what it means is a loop can be nested in between another loop, right? So that is pretty commonly used. Any loop can be used like that. So for example, we have switch here, right? This can be inside this here, right? We can have one more switch. Or in a classical example, we had that while loop here. So we have one while loop. I will mention the same example. Int I is equal to 0, and while I is less than or equal to 20. Now this is one while loop, and I am doing some operation inside it. Console write line A. This is the operation I am doing. Right? So now what it means is nesting means inside this I can write one more line, one more loop. If I is less than I cannot say less than 20, less than 20 and greater than is equal to 10, and I can write one more like this, and I can do some other operation. I is equal to, I'm doing some operation, something. So now we have, this is called nested loop. Inside one loop I am writing one more loop. Inside this one I can write again one loop, so that is known as nested loops. So same way I can do it for for loop. Within one for loop I can use another for loop. Same goes for do while loop. So that is known as nesting of loops. Okay, so that's the basics of .NET we have covered. So now we need to talk about a little bit of object oriented concept.